guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm back here at Moss Nissan in Newport Richey, Florida, and guess what? This could be it. This could be the last 2019 Nissan 370Z NISMO. The reason why is there's been lots of talk. Nissan says a new Z is coming. People are guessing, what is it going to be powered by? Twin turbos, larger displacement. That's the big question. This particular car has been around since 2008 in this redesign. Earlier than that, if you go back to the early 2000s, it was the 350Z. When it comes to pure sports car fun, Nissan, back then in 1970 was Datsun here in the United States, hit the nail on the head with the 240. Then things just kept growing and growing, 240, 260, 280. My personal favorite, I wouldn't mind a 91, 92, 300ZX twin turbo. Then eventually the Z car went away. But then it came back with the 350Z, and now we have the 370Z. Not only is this a 370Z, but it is the NISMO edition. If you're wondering, NISMO, what is that supposed to spell or mean? It stands for Nissan Motorsports. And let's check out the front, because you're gonna see a lot of that motorsports heritage and pedigree in this particular Z. So right off the bat, what separates a NISMO Z from a standard is this whole front fascia. I really like what they did when they restyled the front. They really gave it such a distinct look, and I love how there's many different planes to the front spoilers. You have this portion here, which is a beautiful metallic gray finish. You have this one down here, and then I really like how it branches off, and you have the nice NISMO trim. This red trim, whenever you see that on a Nissan product, that is that special NISMO flavor. There's the badging up front. What's great about this car, it's that traditional rear-wheel drive, two-seat sports car, naturally aspirated engine. I personally like it when the NISMO Z was a little bit harder edge, but with this redesign, they kind of blended it all together to make it for the traditionalists, but also for some new customers that want that sports car fun. But just everything is totally functional. I love the LED marker lights. If I'm gonna zonk the front, I would like to see these be functional. These are non-functioning vents. At least make them aerodynamic to have air pass through for aerodynamic efficiency. Even better, these should really be cooling those brakes around the corner. Let's go ahead and check out and see what we have. So just like the front of the car, these are NISMO specific wheels. Beautiful 19-inch wheel. I love the design. I love the color. Nice red calipers, 4-piston calipers, and then you have your ventilated disc. Now, if I'm gonna zonk this area, I would like to see Brembo brand. These are non-Brembos. I also would like to see cross-drilled and slotted rotors for that optimum power, so that every time you go into that turn and you get on those binders, it's going to consistently stop you each and every time. But wonderful setup, especially with the white. Here's another thing, if you're not looking closely, let's see if Tom could earn his money today, earn his protein. Extra trim added to the fender flare here. So the fender opening, a little bit of flare to it. That is only on the NISMO edition. It's all about aerodynamic efficiency. As we work our way down, I really love the traditional touches with the Z logo. Down below, here's another touch of the NISMO brand, that extra sill coming out. Love the color, love the red trim. As we go up here, I like the way that they took metallic black into the mirrors. Red trim. My only gripe is, this is a sticker. You could literally just peel this off. I wish they would have cleared over it just to protect it while you're driving down the road. This white pearl paint, stunning, absolutely stunning. Now when it comes to color choices, they simplified it for you with the NISMO. White or black. They used to have a red, they used to have a silver. These are your choices. If I'm gonna go, I love the white over the black. Black looks sinister, I just don't wanna clean it every day. As we work our way back, one thing when it comes to the style, even though this design is so dated, is I love what they did with the roof. You can see the body lines creased in there, very, very nicely done. What's interesting is when this car sits at the dealership, guess what? More people pay attention to this than a GTR that's sitting next to it. It's that good looking of a car. Something new that they did last year was they went with this black chrome finish on the door handles. I like it because it feels a lot more upscale. It used to be like a bright silver and it kind of looked a little cheap. This has a nice touch and a nice functioning feel when you open the door. Very nice. You can see the additional fender flare on the rear wheel as well. Just like a lot of other sports cars, the front wheels and tires are skinnier than the rears. That's going to quicken up, lighten up that steering. The tire out back is going to help get the power to the ground. Love this part of the car. Very, very voluptuous. Makes it just look like, almost like a Porsche 911 turbo, the old air-cooled turbos, that flared out look. Really wild. With the Nismo, they give you this additional wing. Now, with the older style Nismo editions, the wing used to be higher. Very clean. It's like a nice little ducktail kick up there. Very nice look. And then to wrap it off the back, you have your 370Z logo, your Nismo badge. If I'm gonna zonk the back, I don't like this logo. It's like a regular silver. It's not shiny like the chrome here, so it looks really, really cheap. I do like the Nismo badge though. Very, very nice. One thing I'm gonna ask Nissan to stop doing, stop putting the Nismo badge on the Leaf, on the Sentra. It's just watering down the flavor. Remember, there's so much racing history, so much heritage between Nismo Motorsports that it's important to keep it at a performance level. Because remember, this isn't just about show. There's extra horsepower from that engine underneath the hood. Love the diffuser. Absolutely beautiful, functional, the red trim, the gray. I love the fog light down here. That looks amazing, just like on a Formula One car. And I really, really like the dual exhaust coming out the back. Really bounces it out, makes it look really, really nice. Let's go ahead. Speaking of the exhaust, let's go see what's going to be making the sound underneath the hood. All right, guys, here we are underneath the hood of this 2019 Nissan 370Z NISMO. That is that tried and true 3.7 liter V6. This one, like I said, has a little bit more oomph than your standard Z. This has 350 horsepower, 276 foot-pounds of torque. The car weighs in around 3,457 pounds. When you're looking at, well, what is this thing mated to? Guess what? Good news. Mated to a 6-speed manual transmission. You can get this in an automatic as well. I personally, being the car enthusiast that I am, would probably forego on that because it's not even a DCT. If we're gonna zonk underneath the hood, I think number one, especially on a Nismo, we need to get rid of this prod, have hood struts here. I do like the strut tower brace. Very, very cool. It's gonna help strengthen the front end of the car. I like the Nissan badging. This cover, it's yay or nay. It isn't 100% horrible, but it could look a little bit better. I do like the way they brought the red from the Nismo colors underneath the hood. I guess if you're gonna zonk this, where's the twin turbos? If you were looking at the internet at the end of last year, there is a twin turbo setup that you can get from the Nissan parts catalog to put on your 370Z. Wouldn't it be nice to have a Nismo and have the twin turbo setup? But listen, 350 horsepower is nothing to shy about in a car that is 3,400 pounds, and this is gonna have that old school sports car flavor. Let's go ahead and fire up this Nismo Z. Alright guys, we're inside the 2019 Nissan 370Z NISMO. Could this be it? Could this be the final time that I will be reviewing a 370Z NISMO before they bring out the new one? Let's start in the door panels. Same story, different flavor though. With the NISMO, you're going to get that wonderful Alcantara suede material on the armrest, on the back of the door panel. I like the NISMO red cross stitching, Bose stereo sound system. The problem is that it's dated. What's nice though is that this top portion, even though it's dated, it's soft, so that's a big plus. When we come inside to the dash, I like the way it flows around. I like for the passengers, there's a lot of room. The material is softer, so this is not hard plastic. It actually has a nicer feel to it. You have this simulated leather around the infotainment system. I do like the touch of it, and I like the contrast stitching. The traditional Z triple gauges across the front here, and as it spills down, this is where it gets old. This is where it's dated. This is like an old Game Boy infotainment system. It does have navigation and a nice view of it. The screen is on the smaller side. It's not like an 8-inch or a 9-inch screen, but where you're getting the hard plastic is all around the controls. I wish that they would have done something around the AC and the radio controls. No dual climate. Now, if you're wondering, hey Joe, what is the MSRP on what's possibly the last 370Z NISMO? $50,000 the way you see it is the MSRP. You do have that wonderful 6-speed transmission. Remember, a couple years ago they upgraded the clutch in this to an exit clutch to get you that great durability, great clutch pedal feel, and the clutch pedal feels great. Shifter throws are very short. I like the NISMO badge that they have here. If you're wondering, well, what's this button that says S mode, you could actually shut off. This was one of the first cars, production cars, that have auto rev match downshifting. You could actually shut that off with the press of a button. I like the way it's simple, so that if you want to be twinkle toes and dance, you could do your heel toe downshifting. I like the leather. Where I'm really not liking it is this. First of all, I like that there's an e-brake, but this thing is it looks like it's out of a Sentra. I would like to see, this is leather, take the leather, put it around the e-brake. It does have a sort of leather material to it, but I'm not going to call it leather. This is a very soft armrest, but it's some kind of rubber material that they used on the first lunar landing, but it is soft. You open this up, and it's a pretty good amount of space for a car that is this tight, because remember, it's just 2 seats, nobody in the back, but you could put your phone in here. No USB to speak of, but you do have a 9-volt, which is nice. Oh, there is a USB. It was hidden under a plug, so maybe they need to identify that a little bit better. One cup holder. Another thing that was added recently is the trunk release, the tailgate release for the hatch, because remember, this back opens, and we'll show you that. Seats. Come on back. Don't miss out on these seats. Beautiful Recaros. The bottoms are stock. These are stock 370 bottoms with a Recaro back, heavy on the bolstering on the back part. So if you don't like it tight on your sides, you may not like this car, but it's going to hold you in place. I like the way it says embossed Recaro on the back, the NISMO badging embroidery up here, and this has the openings if you want to run like some type of race cage or support. You could run race harnesses really easy. Leather, nice Alcantara on the side here for your legs. Why don't you come on over here and I'll show you the business end behind the wheel of this NISMO. All right, guys, here we are, the business end. I love the old school 2-seat feel in here. I like the way they have the aluminum trim down here with the Z logo that lights up. Very welcoming when you open up and get into this car each and every day. Seats, for me, they're comfortable, but you know me, I'm used to the seats in my RS, which many people complain about. So my biggest piece of advice is get down to Moss Nissan and actually drive this car. I do like the overall seating position. I'm going to zonk it, no electric controls. So it's going to be, you're going to be sitting here turning the dials of time here, trying to adjust the seat every which way to try to get it perfect. Steering wheel, I love the size, love the thickness. Alcantara with some leather. It's got the leather red band at the top to let you know where top dead center is. You have some very simplistic buttons, which they don't look great, but I think that's good. Why do we need more buttons on steering wheels, especially a sports car? I do like, even though it's dated, the overall gauge layout. I hate this gauge. This thing looks like my Casio watch from 1988 that I got for Christmas that had a calculator on it. So I don't really love this gauge, but I love the center tack, beautiful NISMO color. You can see it move, it's functional, analog speedometer. Shifter's in a great place. The one thing I hate about the shifter, first of all, it looks like it's made by Nerf. Second of all, it looks like it's made by Nerf. It's not leather. Like, could we have, this is a $50,000 car. I would like to see some leather on the shift knob. Other than that, one cool feature I just want to show you when it comes to adjusting the steering wheel, I really like the way the whole gauge pod moves with everything in unison. Very, very nice touch. If you go the navigation route, here's something that's cool. If you go the navigation route and you put it in reverse, you have two backup views. You have a nice size view, which is your now traditional view of seeing things. If you don't go navigation, it's actually in the mirror here, and it's smaller than an ant. You probably need like a magnifying glass to slide over it so that you're able to see it. But if you've always wanted two backup cameras, you know, your friends have Bentleys, your friends have Lamborghinis, you could actually say to them, I got two backup cameras. But let's go ahead and check out the back inside of this Nissan 370Z NISMO. All right, guys, time to look what's underneath the hatch of a Nissan 370Z. I do have to admit, I like this design better than just a standard trunk. Lots of room in here, surprisingly. Now, one thing you are gonna have to deal with that they did over time adjust is this rear shock tower brace. So that's gonna help stiffen up the rear end of the car, but it also obviously limits some of the space. Not very deep, but very wide. So you can put some things in here and drive this on a regular daily basis. It's almost like a Corvette in a way. And I really, really like the functionality of this back portion of the car. We're gonna see what happens as we go into the future, but let's go into the present right now and take this for a spin. Let's go do it. Guys, we're rolling out of Moss Nissan here in Newport Richey, Florida. We're in the 2019 Nissan 370Z NISMO. I've actually been waiting for this moment because if you remember the last time we came up, I was able to feature the car inside the dealership showroom, but then they wound up selling it after we went to lunch. So we're back here with the 2019. Right off the bat, I love the feel of the clutch. It's a great in-between light and stiff, and it really has excellent modulation. And a lot of it has to do with that exity clutch that is sitting there with the gearbox. Very nicely done, 6-speed transmission. I like the position of the steering wheel. Obviously, you can move it a ton of different ways, but I just love the way that it's nice and flat, not really angled or anything like that. I love the grips. I love the Alcantara, and I really love what the tachometer is. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, all right, love, 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 Mr. Lovey-Dove. Yes, I do love a lot of things. Let's go with some zonks. The navigation. We were trying to utilize some of those plastic fantastic buttons on it, and it's like using something from 1995. So that's definitely a zonk. It does have navigation though, but you know, that is what it is. Right off the bat, wow, this clutch is nice. Very, very nice clutch, very nice shifter. So I'm really digging what's happening within the driver interface. Maybe this isn't great, maybe these gauges, especially that clock, is dated, but for driving feel, I'm loving it. And that's what these cars are all about. How does it feel when you're behind the wheel? Now, I'll promise you one thing, and Tom and I had this discussion. Yes, for $50,000, there's many other cars you could get. Even like a Camaro SS, Mustang GT Performance Pack, they're gonna have more power, they're gonna have more performance, but I don't know, there's just something about the way this car looks, and there's something that is happening when you're sitting in it that if you're a true car enthusiast, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Being able to see this in my garage, I'd be very happy to stare at it as I walk inside the house each and every day after work. Over the bumps, I'll be honest, remember, with the NISMO, you're getting a stiffer suspension, no adaptive dampeners. So that's definitely something that I'm hoping and I'm praying that Nissan, in this more than a decade of time, has been developing a car that is going to feature some of that 21st century technology that we have today and that we love so much. So definitely, I would suggest adaptive dampeners to this car because it is a little stiff. I'm gonna say, if you've been in a Subaru WRX STI, this is actually a little bit more on the stiff side than an STI, just to give you a little bit of perspective. I like the naturally aspirated engine, that 3.7 liter engine, very nice sound coming from the front end of the car, and even the back. Now, it doesn't have the loud exhaust, and that's another thing. I would like to have an adaptive exhaust. $50,000, I think we deserve that. So I would definitely like to add that in. Rolling away with the clutch is a piece of cake. I'm gonna shut up for a second. First gear, I guess I lied. the way out to red line. You see the red light flash. Let's see how the tip-in is. Very nice, smooth transition, very linear, on throttle. I'm liking the sound. Shifter feels great. Feels a lot better than that anniversary edition that we did of a standard Nissan 370Z. Remember, you got that more power. 33 horsepower in the normal Z, 350 horsepower in this one. 0 to 60, if you're good with your shifting arm and you're a good dancer, you're going to be able to hit 0 to 60 in about 4.5 seconds. I don't know if you heard that auto rev match downshifting. That's a nice touch. Let's go ahead and see if we can pass this vehicle here real quick. Rev it out. On those brakes. Nice pedal feel into this tight right-hander here. Great feel from the front of the car. Now, a lot of the complaints that I had about the regular 370, I'm not having problems with this Nismo edition. So I'm getting great feedback from what those front tires are trying to tell me. Now the suspension, it was a little stiff as we were going through that neighborhood. Now it's not so bad. I like the way it's keeping me planted, keeping me stable. On the brakes, automatic rev, nice. Rev it all the way out, nice. On the brakes, downshift. Very nice, great feel. Nothing like a rear-wheel drive car. That power transmitted through the 6-speed is a wonderful dream to drive. And you know what? Even though that 3.7 liter is a little dated, with the changes that they made to get that extra horsepower, very, very responsive. It sneaks up on you. You know, it's not like you get in this and it just blows you right out of the water, but how it builds the power and you know, the overall sensations that you're experiencing really makes it enjoyable to drive, and I'm really liking that. Very smooth. That's another thing. The power, it's just the power band's so smooth, no dips in it. The gauge cluster, very easy to understand. I like the feel of the steering wheel. It's just, like I said, where you're putting your hands on other things like the radio controls, the AC controls, very, very dated. Even the door handles, very, very dated. And that's just to be expected because there hasn't been a revision in so long. But I'm going to go ahead and shut up again. Nice. I'm really loving the way that it just puts the power down. And that's the wonderful thing. With that normally aspirated engine, you're not waiting for the boost to kick in. And you have a lot of play in the power band. Now, if I'm gonna zonk the sound, it really doesn't come on until about 5,500, 6,000 RPM, where you're really hearing it. But boy, once you start to hear it, it really plays very well. Just like this piece of road here. This Z is a dream to drive on a fun road like this, and that's what it's about, you know, is having an enthusiast style car to drive each and every day. You can take this as a daily driver. You're gonna have to be careful. You're gonna have to be mindful of how low that front lip spoiler is and all that, but at the end of the day, it is a $50,000 car, so there are other options you can do to have even more performance. But just, I think this type of car is disappearing, that old rear-wheel drive feel. And that's the thing, is with this car, it feels very, very analog. And in a way, I like that. I like the way it has a gear indicator with the shift lights. Very nice. Hey guys, changed up the view a little bit out the front in this 2019 Nismo Z. It's a driver's car. That's the bottom line. I can zonk everything in the interior, from the navigation to the overall feel of a lot of the materials, but at the end of the day, it is a blast to like a little bit more initial bite out of them, and I think that if you had a 6-piston caliper setup with some cross-drilled rotors, you would get that. Still not too shabby, but I'm gonna say at $50,000, I want $50,000 brakes as well. If I could get 6 pistons on a Mustang GT, I would like to get 6 pistons on a Nismo Z. I think that goes without saying. But I like the feedback you get from the steering wheel. It's just some of the things in the car are hard to look at just because they're dated. But like I said, guys, this car is a pleasure to drive, so let's just go ahead and drive it. Love the way the whole weight transfers from front to rear. Really has a great feel. On a road course, this thing would be a blast to drive. It really would. On the brakes. Tip it in. And I'm just letting third gear pull me out of the turns, and it's plenty. It's nice. I like the way the brakes feel really stable. Side to side weight transfer's great. Very nice. The brakes are good in this car. Are they fantastic? No, but they're pretty damn good. And I love the feedback. That's the best part. I'm sure I probably said that 100 times in this video. The feedback from the front of the car is really great through the wheel. Wonderful, wonderful driving experience. But at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, is it worth the $50,000? That is the question of the year, and that's why Nissan says this is probably it for the 370Z. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Speaking of waiting and see, we are going to see you in a split second. We're heading back to Mas Nissan. So hold on, and we'll see you soon. These are the types of things you like to see on Raity's Rides. Definitely leave a comment in that comment section. If you're new to the channel, before you leave, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back each and every day. If you are a subscriber, thank you. Thank you for being part of the Raity's Rides family. You know what we're about here on Raity's Rides, that car passion to share with you. If you haven't checked out my other Raity's Rides social media, you know I'm everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, check those out. Merch. If you want a little bit of piece of Raity's Rides, click the button that came up above my head during this video that takes you to Spreadshirt. It's YouTube Cameraman Awareness Month. Get your YouTube cameraman checked out. Already got Tom checked top, bottom, left to right, front to back. He is A+. We're getting him some new protein. He's working out, loving these Z's. Now we're gonna go catch some Z's, but I'll see you on the next ride.